morning. Sorry.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you once again to another Optimal You. And the weeks go by so fast. I have my favorite co-host with me today, my lovely wife, Debbie. And we are going to be talking about oils and fats and what we use at home and what we use in our practice. We have a lot of information. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know, Debbie, you could talk about some of the details of telling people here and questions. How does that sound?
Well, first I want you to know that tonight we have some giveaways, but to be a participant in that, what we need to do is you need to write in HERE, H-E-R-E. And also for all of you out there, we would like you to receive a free PDF, and so put a free book in the subject line to customer care at druglessdoctor.com. That's customer care at druglessdoctor.com, and you will be getting that. Now, Dr. Bob.
What book they're going to get? The Trans Fat book, I
yes,
believe.
the Trans Fat.
The Trans Fat book is going to be tremendous.
What I think we really want to talk about is there are some things with fats or oils that people just don't understand, Dr. Bob. They don't understand what the bad or the good is, or if they even need it, because, you know, there's been a lot of no fats or watch your fats and what kind of fat. And I think we're going to try to put some clarity to that tonight in going over all your questions. So please, if you have questions, make sure you get and let us know those so that we can answer them. So, Dr. Bob, why don't we start about why we need oil?
Well, Debbie, every cell in the body is covered with a layer of fat, and that's why cholesterol is so important. So your cell membranes are made up of fat, your brain's made up of fat, your brain sends messages down a layer of fat, so all the communication in your body is basically fat. It's just the way that the nervous system functions. I'm just working on a little text right now, so if you could handle it just for a moment, okay?
So basically what you are saying is all of our cells really need oils.
That is exactly right.
Or a fat. And so I think many people really don't realize when you go out to dinner, and I want to bring this up because most people eat many of their meals outside of the home. That's including breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, everything. And so you have no clue unless you ask what type of oil are they using. So you might be getting bad effects in your body but not realizing you're getting it from places that you go to eat. Now, why I want to say this is I was going to something that I felt was a healthy establishment. And I was getting these green beans that were sauteed, and they were wonderful. I loved them. I kind of was addicted to them.
I remember this.
And one day I thought, you know, I wonder why I like them so much, because sometimes those things that you like so much could have something that could have a bad effect. And when I talked to them, it was trans fat.
It's trans fatty acids, and I know that even almost anything fried you're going to get today is going to be a trans fat oil. But let's slow down a little bit and let's just talk about some of the oils that we use at home and how we cook. I do know that rice oil, which Debbie's showing you right now, is we don't do a lot of frying. Most of what we're going to do is we're going to do maybe some sauteing. We use olive oil. But rice oil itself can be heated to very high temperatures. And if we are going to use some kind of an oil, the rice oil will probably heat up very high, cause the least amount of trauma or damage. But anytime you continue to use a lot of heated oils, heat literally decomposes, breaks down the oil molecules or the fat molecules themselves, Deb. And so we don't really cook with a lot of oil.
Well, I want to talk about what we do with rice oil. And one is if we do any type of sauteing that we want to high heat, like Dr. Bob said. If we do anything like in a wok, we might use rice oil. And if we ever decide to make homemade popcorn, we use a rice oil. Rice oil has no flavor, Dr. Bob, so it's not really adding flavor to your dish, but it is an oil that you can use that enhances whatever you are eating, and it does the job.
And it's very light, and it doesn't make you feel like really heavy or like really full and stuffed, like you've just been pumped up with a ton of oil. This is probably one of our favorite oils, and for years my wife was using this oil, and I thought, you are a nutcase. Why are you using this coconut oil? And why don't you talk about it, Deb? Well, how do we use it now?
I'll tell you, this is one of the types that we use. We use a couple different, and just so happens to be we rotate. It is really an awesome idea to rotate your food.
That's right.
And so even brands that we trust, we rotate. So even pastas, if we use a whole grain pasta, if we use a buckwheat pasta, if we use a rice noodle pasta, we rotate. Now, actually, we don't do pastas very often, and we don't do breads very often. But if you are doing anything with grains, those for sure you would want to rotate. So I'm going to talk to you about a giveaway, because Selena Naturally has one of our giveaways tonight. Remember, to be eligible for one of our giveaways, you have to type in HERE, H-E-R-E, or we don't really know that you're here, and you won't get a chance to be in the giveaway. But Selena Naturally, who we love, Selena and all the people down there in Asheville, North Carolina, is giving away a coconut oil. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about theirs. It's easily digested, and actually coconut oil is easily digested. Theirs is nutrition-rich, and it's an energy source that has been cold pressed, and it's centrifuged, Dr. Bob. I'm not sure if you even knew that. Nothing has been added or removed, and it's delicious. It's a raw living food, and it is delicious. So do you want to finish your story?
Well, let me talk to you a little bit about coconut oil itself. There's so many things I can tell you just on coconut oil. First, it is a medium chain fatty acid. It is not going to cause your cholesterol to go up. It's plant-based. I think there's a lot of misconception because it's a saturated fat. People think that it's not good for you. That is not true. I know that every day that Debbie and I have a rice cake, either a thin rice cake or a corn cake, all genetically no GMO cakes at all. When I say cake, mine is really thin. And I put a layer of almond butter that we do get from Selena Naturally also, which is probably the best in the whole world. And we also put I put not quite a tablespoon on. I put them together and I put it in the freezer. Coconut oil will help memory. It'll help your hair. It'll help cell function. It'll help you lose weight. And it's probably one of the most amazing foods that you and I have incorporated into our lifestyle. And the more research that we've done on that, coconut oil is excellent. Now we don't use it exclusively, because we also use butter. We don't use a ton of butter, but butter has something in it called butyric acid, which, from what I understand, is very important for colon function and health. And I know, Deb, that we also have used coconut oil to saute vegetables in if we're going to make a stir fry.
Yes, and I like to add it, really, brown rice. If I'm having brown rice, I like to put coconut oil. If I'm having a rice pasta, I like to put coconut oil. Now, I do want to finish off that one of the ideas is when you do the coconut oil in the rice cake and the almond butter, it tastes like a candy bar. It really does. It's a wonderful sweet. It's satisfying. It's a snack. It is sometimes I've had it because it's a dinner. To me, I'm in the road on the car, or in the car on the road, and I need something. And it is wonderful. Now, one of the things that I do want to talk about, and that I know that we didn't really on this, is flax oil. How important flax oil is to you. But as we continue to talk about this, we're talking about cooking. You don't heat flax oil. So flax oil is cold, and I usually use flax oil on my salad. That was my salad dressing.
What's kind of interesting, because Debbie's bringing up some important points, flax oil is an omega-3 oil. It's not common in our environment today. Most of you probably eat foods that have safflower oil in it or sunflower oil. That's an omega-6 oil. Those can be heated. Where the challenge comes is when you consume too much of those type of oils, that is safflower oil, sunflower oil. It can literally cause pain inside of your body, and it can cause inflammation. Most people don't use a lot of omega-3 oils, so flax oil is what we call a precursor oil, and it has to go through steps to become a long-chain fat that's for your heart called EPA and for your brain called DHA. So one of the reasons that Debbie and I like to use oils, it helps our memory, it helps function, it helps take away pain. So, you know, because Debbie and I are in the 60-year-old category right now, we don't have pain in our body. You know, over 126 million people woke up with pain today, and I believe that one of the reasons that you and I don't have pain is because we use oils. And I'll give this back to you in one moment. I'll tell you, there's a food that we eat every day on our salad. So every day Debbie and I have a salad. We eat at least a fourth of an avocado every day. And avocados are, this is really significant what I'm going to share with you right now. Avocados are a monounsaturated fat, number 9, which is very similar to olive oil. So Debbie and I use avocado every day. We use coconut oil every day. I try to use butter, not every day, but as frequently as I possibly can. And I eat walnuts, a few of them every day, as a part of my morning time. So we incorporate a lot of oils in our life when you really start to think about it.
We do. And I'm going to talk about my testimonials in just a second. But I know that we have, I think that we have some...
But somebody asked a very significant question. It says, do you know what I can do for oily skin? And a lot of times you want to make sure first that you're eating pure oil. Now, one of the oils that we're going to talk about, and I might talk about it right now, is Doritos Cool Ranch. Deb, do you want to read to them what the ingredients include?
Well, Cool Ranch Doritos, and you know they are addicting.
They are.
So there's a lot of people. Yes, I know, because I see them all over the place.
Bags of empty bags. I know.
Empty bags, and they wouldn't be so popular if they weren't addicting. It includes corn oil, canola oil, and/or sunflower oil, and it has MSG in it. So you got to talk about MSG too.
Okay, so what I'm bringing up the point is a lot of people could have an oil challenge and oily skin because they have oil that's probably not the best for them. So like all these oils that Debbie and I talked about, we don't have oily skin. I mean, you know, that we don't have that profuse oil that's just oozing out of us, but we also work on our livers. The liver is also a very important key because the liver helps process those oils. I'll briefly tell you about MSG. Monosodium glutamate can definitely trick your body. It's an excitotoxin. It can cause some challenges. But if you have a problem with MSG, when I say a problem, that you're going out for Chinese food and you feel really lousy afterwards, it could be a body signal that you need vitamin B6, that's Bravo 6, and or molybdenum. You don't want to go back and probably watch this again. Vitamin B6 and or molybdenum. A molybdenum deficiency is very common when people have MSG issues, and you might have a problem with perfumes and gasoline and mold fragrances. That's a body signal to me that you may have an MSG challenge. So for those, whoever is asking a question about oily skin, you want to do Dr. Bob's ABCs, a half a red apple every day, a third cup of beet fiber, and a medium carrot for your liver to process accordingly.
Well, I want to talk just a little bit because I want to talk about one of the giveaways tonight is an oil bundle, and it happens to be from Drugless Doctor. And we're going to give away, it's a bundle of flax oil, olive oil, rice oil, and coconut oil, along with the hard copy trans fat book. Well, not hard copy, it's paperback, but an actual book. And then also we will have coconut oil from Selena Naturally. And then, but remember, you have to write in here, HERE, to be eligible for that. And then also we have a giveaway. It's the PDF of the trans fat book, and you need to put free book in the subject line, sending an email to customercare@druglessdoctor.com. Now, I do want you to know that this month's outreach is Compassion International, and that exists as an advocate for children around the world, and it is for them to release for their spiritual, economic, social, physical poverty, and it enables them to become responsible and fulfilled Christian adults. And for more information on that, visit compassion.com. Now, we have 3 children in Compassion International, and we pray for them every day. Depti, David, and T, they live in Colombia, India, and Sri Lanka. And we write them, and they write us back, and we participate with their life. So tell people to buy the books this month because we're supporting Compassion International. It's our outreach for the month. So Dr. Bob, I was going to talk a little bit about the testimony and what it does, oil for my health. Guess what? Oil helps me focus. If I have not had the correct oil or enough oil, I am out of focus. So if you have a lot of tasks to do at your station and you're just looking and it's like you know what you need to do, but you can't go from the one step to the next step, or you're just not quite sure how to organize, I know I'm not taking in enough oil. Also my emotions. So women, and of all ages, when your emotions, you just can't seem to control them, one, you might be taking in the wrong oils, or you don't have enough good oils. Because see, everybody's always thinking you have to take away, but sometimes you have to fulfill and fill that void by putting good oils in. Skin. I don't think people talk enough about good skin with good oils. Dr. Bob mentioned bad oils, and for example, we did talk about Doritos being a bad oil and how that could affect the skin. But I believe if you have good oils, your skin is going to be healthier. It's going to be more vibrant. And I know that people will say to me, you know what, you don't look 60 years old. And I know it's because of the good oils that I eat. It's also because we don't eat sugar, because I believe sugar causes a lot of wrinkles. So women and men alike, if you don't want wrinkles, you stop eating sugar. Dr. Bob?
Well, I was thinking about my testimony for oil, and I know that anytime that we're ever out in the sun, I make sure I have enough oil in my body because, now listen to, I'm going to word this to you. Vitamin D takes calcium from the intestine and puts it in the blood. Vitamin F, for example, flax oil, takes calcium from the blood to your skin, so your skin has strength, so it won't be aggravated so much by the sunshine. So we have one other note I want to talk about. It was Jif peanut butter, Deb,
okay.
And it has fully hydrogenated oils. And I want to take a moment here to explain something to you. And for those of you that do put it here, and you're going to get the PDF of Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide, which is an excellent book because it's going to give you some details. What they do with hydrogenation is they have a vegetable oil, they add high heat, and they put a catalyst with it, and they add hydrogen. And then they start to put these molecules so this vegetable oil becomes semi-solid. And they did that so it's almost like a margarine, and they were using that as a replacement for butter. So the process is called hydrogenation. So when you look at a product and it says partially hydrogenated oils, those fat molecules become T-shaped. That's why they call it trans fat. So in this peanut butter, which is Jif, they'll say you have 0 grams trans fat. But if you really look at the ingredients close, rapeseed oil or rapeseed oil, depending on how you want to talk about it or enunciate it, it's canola oil. So we don't promote canola oil because it is usually derived via a chemical process using hexane, and the same with soybean oil. Actually, 70% of all the oils in the United States are soybean oil based, and I know canola oil is the new push that it's a health oil. Now, from our observation, it is not. And we've been talking about no trans fat for over 30 years, and they finally came around a few years ago and said trans fat's not good. And forever, Debbie and I have told people not to use anything artificially sweet, and only last week they said artificial sweeteners can create an issue. So my comment to you is this. We talked about olive oil, natural, it's pressed. Canola oil, natural, it's pressed. Flax oil, it's pressed. You don't want any oils that are derived chemically. So I think that's just some significant points. Rapeseed oil is also known as canola oil.
Well, I know I have to go back to a point that you made, and it really ties a lot in. One of the things that Dr. Bob mentioned is you need to keep your liver clean. And the liver is a processing organ in our body, and for it to be able to process and detoxify things like it did, it needs to have healthy oils. But it's very interesting, in helping repair your liver, you also use an oil. And that oil happens to be castor oil. Now I know this is pretty old, but it is castor oil, and you don't need a lot of it. But I want you to visit druglessdoctor.com and type in castor oil pack. And castor oil pack, basically what it is you're putting wool flannel doused with castor oil and a heating pad on your liver area, and Dr. Bob can explain that in a minute, and you're healing. It's a healing process. It's really a nice time to relax, but it also helps just heal that. What's the process that it does?
Well, castor oil in itself has some unique principles, and that does promote healing. And rather than go into all the detail, you can do a search on castor oil with the ricklinic acid that's in it. It promotes healing in the body. It's been around a long time. We have many of our practice members that use the castor oil pack. But you could literally rub castor oil on your shoulder. You could rub it on any part of your body. And actually, you could put it on your hair where the frizzies. It's going to help tighten it up. And we just had somebody in our office explain to us you can put it on your eyebrows. You can use it. It's going to help support optimal function. Somebody had a question. What do you think about krill or anchovy oil, and which one do you recommend? Well, we actually recommend anchovy oil. The oils that we use from Biotics Research Corporation are sourced from sardine and anchovy. These are smaller fish. Now, when it comes to krill, to the best of my knowledge when it comes to krill and kelp are very significant in the ocean, but they also act sometimes as garbage cans in the ocean because they absorb all the toxins. So if you're going to use krill, if you're going to use kelp, you want to use it from the Atlantic Ocean. That's just some of the observations that we have made. Sardines and anchovy are smaller fish. They're smaller in the ecosystem, so that means they're not going to eat larger fish. And part of the challenge is when you eat tuna, when you eat salmon, and some of the other items, some of the other fish, they're higher in the chain, so they eat a lot of smaller toxic fish. So anchovies and sardines are the way to go.
A lot of this information is also in our trans fat book, which you can get a PDF if you type in free book in the subject line and send it to the customer care at druglessdoctor.com. And you know, there's so much information on our website, druglessdoctor.com. Please come, because we're continually putting new things on it. Also follow us on Twitter and of course Facebook, because you're going to find out more about us, our lives, and the healthy lifestyle that we choose to not only live but also talk about, so that you can change you and your family's life for the better.
You know, we had someone that was in our practice today, and we do this very often. We do an essential fatty acid blood spot test. You know, people always want to know, what should I take, Dr. Bob? Exactly, where's my body going? Where's my health going? So if you do any type of search on the essential fatty acid blood spot test, it'll tell you, it helps me tell you exactly what oils you need in your body. We had a young girl many years ago that came into our practice, and she was having some issues with being bipolar, and she actually attempted suicide several times. And so we did essential fatty acid blood spot tester, and this is really significant. Her trans fat, or her partial hydrogenated oils, were off the chart, but her flax oil, or what we call her ALA oil, was totally gone. She had none. And so I started conversing with her like what she was doing. She was eating French fries nearly every day. So the seriousness of it is this: we can help prevent you from having dementia and Alzheimer's and depression just by elevating your omega-3 fats. Well, you're going to say, how do I know if I need omega-3 fats? Well, you may consider a part of your strategy the essential fatty acid blood spot test. So let's say you do a lot of dairy. Well, dairy creates arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid, which is a fat, can cause pain. So we know that many of you are suffering with pain because you may be eating yogurt or cottage cheese or ice cream on a regular basis. I'm not telling you not to eat that, but I'm going to tell you right now, it will cause an issue. And also, what's very significant about the essential fatty acid blood spot test, we find that up to 30% of the women in the United States today have a zinc deficiency. And the lab from Genova Lab down in Georgia, they'll help me determine exactly what you need. So we had a practice member that had MS, multiple sclerosis, and through the essential fatty acid blood spot test, She needed 14 grams. That's what I'm saying. 14 grams of oil every day to bring your body back to normal. Because Debbie asked me earlier why are oils so important? Because your brain sends messages along a layer of fat called the myelin sheath.
Wow.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff. And you know what? We always had a lot of stuff. So next month, you need to join us. You need to make sure that you're checking out what our special night for our Google chat is. And next month, I think, could be something with female hormones, maybe?
Well, I would have to tell you that probably one of our most popular topics around the year is we talk about female hormones. And even segueing with what we're talking about tonight, ladies, you need to have oil. And oil is important for hormone function. So if you have fat phobia and you've been eliminating oil from your life, you're not feeling 100%, it's very possible that you could have an oil deficiency. And I know we might have a moment if you'd like to try to send us another question. We'll do our very best to answer that. Okay, the winner of the bundle is Neil Radke.
Oh,
so Neil, thank you for joining us today. If you were to email us at customercare@druglessdoctor.com, and you're going to be the fortunate winner of the bundle. And then, winner of the Selena Naturally, the first name is E, and the last name is S-A-R-I. So email customercare@druglessdoctor.com. You're the coconut oil winner. Okay, so in the subject line, put coconut oil winner, and your last name is S-A-R-I. And make sure you email us. I'm excited for everybody for winning all those.
But you know, everybody can be a winner tonight. Type in here, and in the subject line, you would put free, and I'm sorry, here was for the other ones. Put in free book in the subject line to customercare@druglessdoctor.com, and then you'll get a free PDF of the Trans Fat book. And that's where we have a lot of the information, Dr. Bob, that we've been talking about. And so that you can have a lot more knowledge than when you first came onto this call.
So let me kind of wrap this up for you. So you can say, okay, where do I start? Well, personally, where I would start, if you've never used any oil at all, would be at least to try flax oil, a tablespoon every day, either directly down the hatch or put it on your salad, and just give it about 3 weeks. It takes about 3 weeks for your body for it to kick in. Another area that I'd encourage you to do is maybe try avocado. Avocado is a monounsaturated oil. You can put on your salad. You could just eat it directly right from the avocado. And olive oil will be an awesome way to start doing some sauteing with your vegetables that you have at home. Olive oil can go up to about 300, 325 degrees. Remember what Debbie said. You always use flax oil cold, and you can always warm up olive oil and the other oils, but if it starts to smoke, you're burning it, and you don't want to put it inside of your body. Any last thoughts, Debbie? You have a moment.
No, I'm just excited to be able to share anything about health and anything that's going to make you a better person.
We'll see you next month. Thank you so much.